Do you want to know what to do when a child doesn't trust you? Well, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communications, and how to build strong family bonds through the principle of self-government. And in this video, we're talking about trust. In this video, we're going to talk about why a child might develop a distrust for you and 6 steps to increasing a child's trust for you. Sometimes children develop mistrust of their parents because they have expectations that weren't met. Maybe a parent makes a promise to a child and then the parent can't keep the promise, and so then the child feels like, well, then how can I believe anything you're going to say? Or sometimes a parent will say something to a child like, well, we're going to leave in, about 2 minutes, and so just wait here for 2 minutes, and like 20 minutes goes by and the parent's still talking to some other adult, and the child is like, they don't tell the truth. They say 2 minutes, but it's not 2 minutes. Or I remember when I was a child, my mom would always say, I'm just going to run into the store really fast. I just have to get bread. And we'd say, okay, and we'd all be sitting as a family in the car waiting for mom to run into the store to get bread. And then she would come out sometimes with a whole cart of things in bags or holding 2 bags, and we're like, that's not just bread. That's a whole lot more than just a loaf of bread. Suddenly, mom did a lot more shopping. She should have said, I need to do some minor shopping as opposed to the major shopping that would take her much more time. But instead, she always just would say one item. And so then I started not trusting or believing that that's really what was going to happen. So we always felt like, well, she says that, but really it's going to be this. So this is one reason that children can develop mistrust. Parents, not only do we need to communicate honestly with our children, but we need to make sure that we are communicating honestly with ourselves. When parents make excuses to themselves or to others for their actions, then children start thinking that maybe they can't trust their parents. Parents don't have to be perfect. I think sometimes we think we have to be perfect, and so that's why we sweep our own actions under the rug. We don't want our children to see our shortcomings. We make excuses for our shortcomings because we don't want to address them. But what that really does is increase distrust for us. Now, there are many other reasons that a person could experience distrust, and we're going to talk about those. But first, click that subscribe button now. This channel is dedicated to help you improve your family relationships. When you click subscribe, you'll see more videos from Nicholeen Peck. And don't forget that notification bell, because when you click that, you'll actually be notified when they come out. So let's say the child is not trusting you, and you really need to work on increasing the trust that they have for you. Well, I've got 6 steps that if you follow, you should have success at helping your child trust you more. Step number 1 is you've got to talk about the situation that has made it so that a person doesn't trust you. So just go to the child and say, I have a feeling you don't trust me, and that I probably need to apologize for something and maybe even fix a problem that I have about myself. So tell me, what is it that you don't trust about me? I'm not going to make an excuse for it. I promise you, I'm just going to say I'm sorry and move on from here, because I know that I haven't done everything perfectly. So what is the problem? Or if you know the problem, then just go to the person and say, I know you don't trust me right now because I made a promise that I shouldn't have made, and I wasn't able to fulfill that promise. And so I'm sorry. But what I would like to do is talk about how we can communicate better going forward so that we don't have a lack of trust in our relationship. So go to them, bring it into the light, bring it out into the open, just confess that you understand that they don't trust you, and be humble and teachable during that time. Step number 2. Be totally open about why this problem happened, whatever it is. Make sure that you explain to the child in your conversation why you think you got to that circumstance. Not in a way where you're making excuses, because that makes your whole apology and conversation seem like a manipulation. but instead in a way where you say, I think this happened because. And I think what I need to do is probably do this in the future. Let them see how you fix a problem with yourself. Not only does this make them feel more secure because they don't think that you're trying to do something shady with them anymore, but it also helps them have a great lesson for life. Don't we want our children to recognize their problems and then confront them head on and do something about it? Yes, of course we do. That's called self-government. We want our children to have the opportunity to govern themselves as well, right? So set the example. Step number 3, understand their feelings. Maybe even say, hey, how did it make you feel when this happened? When I didn't do this thing, or I got angry. Because see, you getting angry can also violate trust, okay? You getting mad, getting physical, yelling, showing that you can't handle a circumstance that is happening at that particular time will also make them feel like they can't trust you, so they don't want to open up. So you might want to say, how did that make you feel? I need to know how you felt right then. So make sure that you give them an opportunity to share. If they share, they can overcome. If you shut them down, you will still keep that wall between you. Step number 4, make a vision for the future, for your relationship. You might want to ask the child a question. What do you want our relationship to be like 5 years from now or 10 years from now? When you're more grown up, what do you want it to feel like or be like? Well, hopefully they tell you something nice. Something like, well, I want us to be close. I want us to be able to talk about anything, or something like that. But they might not. They could say something like, I just want you to leave me alone. I don't want to ever see you again. They might say something hurtful. Then you might say something like, okay, well, I understand that's what you want. Let me explain what I want. So either way, after they share what they want, then you explain what you want your relationship to be like. When you explain your vision for your relationship, hopefully that touches your heart and their heart at the same time. They need to hear your heart, the words of your heart speak to them. And it will actually help them take a piece of that vision for themselves too. Talk about how you want it to feel. What kinds of conversations and activities you want to do together. Talk about who you are to each other. That is a part of the vision too. The way you see each other, the way you value each other, these are all things you can deliberately discuss as you plan for a vision of your future relationship. Step number 5, in this conversation, plan for success. You've got to have a concrete plan that involves skill development for how you will successfully repair your relationship. So I highly recommend saying, okay, so we have a vision now, a picture of where we want to be headed in our relationship. How are we going to get there? We have circumstances that happen each day that don't go right because our communications are not good. So we need to fix our communication with each other. Part of fixing communication is having communication skills. So in the Teaching Self-Government course, I talk about 4 basic skills for communication that the children need to know. These are foundational for any other skills that they will need in their life. The 4 basic skills of self-government, which are for all people, no matter the age, are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. When a person learns the steps to these 4 basic skills, that takes care of 99% of their behavioral problems. So learning the 4 basic skills is going to be a big part of your plan. And then also determining what you will do when they use the skills properly. It's always a good idea to have positive consequences and praise in mind. In fact, tell the children, I'm going to focus on praising you more when you use the 4 basic skills, especially when you keep a calm face, because I know that you have a hard time focusing on that calm face. So I will praise you more, and we will have these types of positive consequences when things go well. So tell the children what will happen when they are using their skills. You might even want to have a special motivation system set up for maybe like 2 weeks as the child is working on perfecting these 4 basic skills. Maybe every single time they use the 4 basic skills, they can put like beans in a jar. 1 bean for every step that they do properly in a jar. And then when the jar is filled, maybe you can go do something fun as a family. These types of motivation activities are good for learning new things. They're not going to work for the long term because usually a motivation system like that only works for about 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. Another part of planning how things will go well is preparing your child for how you will correct them. So how will you correct your child at any given time that they can count on? Will it be calm? Will there be certain words that you use every time? I hope so. So in the Teaching Self-Government course, I teach all about how to do a proper corrective teaching that is also connective, positive, and calm. Learn how to do corrective teachings that will bring you closer together instead of break you apart. That's going to be another way that you plan for success. Step number 6, you also have to have a plan for what to do when things go wrong. Obviously, you want to correct your children the right way, be calm, connective every time. But here's a news flash. You're human. We all are, which means you are going to have moments where things don't go exactly like you wanted them to. You might fall into an old habit and you might feel bad about it and wonder, now what do I do? Are they not going to trust me again because I yelled again? Well, hopefully you can teach them key things that they can do to help remind you to get back on track. So the skill disagreeing appropriately is the perfect skill for that. If your children learn how to disagree appropriately, then when you might be having a moment that decreases trust, such as yelling, getting frustrated, or emotional, they can come to you and say, "Mom, may I disagree appropriately?" Ooh, that suddenly reminds you that you have skills. You might not be using them right then, but you have skills. I've taught my children that if they ever ask me that question, the answer is yes, you may disagree appropriately. Then they do the steps to disagreeing appropriately. I listen to what they have to say, and I might change my behavior at that point. I might apologize and say, "Mom needs to do correction on herself right now because I was not doing that properly." We are going to redo that interaction. Let's start it again. Thank you so much for reminding me that I was not using my skills. So even if it's going off course or you had a bad moment, the child knows they can come and talk to you about it and that you will fix it. That right there validates you and increases that trust, even if you can't be perfect every second of the day. Now, don't go making excuses for yourself and decide to not be perfect some of the times. Try your best. But if you ever have a moment where you fall into that old habit, prepare the other people around you to help bring you back on course and tell yourself you can always redo it. Now, if you recognize you had a problem, you were angry, or you didn't fulfill a promise of some sort for your child and you need to fix that, then the moment you recognize it, go to the child and talk about it, apologize, fix it, and do it the right way. Right then, even if it's days, weeks, or even months later, fix it. That actually increases their ability to trust you and to see that you truly are going to be consistent with the principles that you're teaching them. If you've enjoyed this video, there is so much more on this channel that you definitely want to partake of. There is a video I highly recommend you watching next, which will talk more about the skills of self-government and how to correct a child in that really connective way. That video is called The Not So Known Secret to Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video now.